was held on September 22nd and 23rd, 2025. The committee reviewed key developments in the global and domestic economies, including the outlook. All 12 members of the committee were in attendance. Decisions of the MPC. The committee decided as follows. 1. Reduce the monetary policy rate MPR by 50 basis points to 27%. 2. Adjust the standing facilities corridor around the MPR to plus 250 to minus 250 basis points. 3. Adjust the cash reserve requirement, CRR, for commercial banks to 45% while retaining that of merchant banks at 16%. Also, to introduce a 75% CRR on non-TSA public sector deposits. And 4, keep the liquidity ratio unchanged at 30%. The committee's decision to lower the monetary policy rate was predicated on the sustained disinflation recorded in the past 5 months, projections of declining inflation for the rest of 2025, and the need to support economic recovery efforts. The MPC also adjusted the standing facilities corridor to improve the efficiency of the interbank market and strengthen monetary policy transmission. The committee further introduced a 75% CRR on non-TSA public sector deposits for enhanced liquidity management. Considerations. The MPC expressed satisfaction with the prevailing macroeconomic stability evidenced by the improvements in several indicators. These include the sustained disinflation, improved output growth, stable exchange rate, and robust external reserves. It particularly noted the increased momentum of disinflation in August 2025 being the highest in the past 5 months. This deceleration, increased capital inflows, and surplus current account balance have helped to broadly anchor inflation expectations. Other factors that contributed to the deceleration include the continued moderation in the price of PMS and the notable increase in crude oil production. In the view of the committee, the stability in the macroeconomic environment offered some headroom for monetary policy to support economic growth and recovery. Deceleration in inflation, the committee observed the persistent buildup of excess liquidity in the banking system, resulting largely from fiscal releases emerging from improved revenues. Being mindful of the need, PC noted the risks posed by the excess liquidity in the banking system. Members noted that effective functioning of the interbank market remains critical to enhance transmission of monetary policy. This of the standing facilities corridor to boost interbank market transactions and enhance the stability of the market. The committee acknowledged the continued stability of the foreign exchange market and its critical importance in achieving rapid disinflation, and therefore called on the bank to continue the implementation of policies that would further boost capital inflows and deepen foreign exchange liquidity. On the financial sector, the MPC noted the continued resilience of the banking remaining within respective prudential benchmarks. Members also acknowledged the significant progress in the ongoing bank recapitalization exercise, as 14 banks have fully met the new capital requirement. They therefore urged the bank to continue the implementation of policies and initiatives that would ensure the success. The committee further noted the successful termination of forbearance measures and waivers on single obligors, which has helped to promote transparency, risk management, and long. The MPC reassured the public that the impact of the removal of forbearance is transitory and does not pose any threat to the soundness and stability of the banking system. Price and other domestic developments. Headline inflation year-on-year moderated further to 20.12% in August 2025 from 21.88% in July, driven by the decline in both food and coffee. On a month-on-month basis, headline inflation also decreased to 0.74% in August 2025 from 1.99% in the preceding month. Similarly, core inflation year-on-year eased to 20.33% in August 2025 from 21.33% in July, due to the slowdown in the cost of services, housing and utilities, as well as transport and logistics. Food inflation year-on-year also moderated to 21.87% in August 2025 from 22.74% in July, attributed to the decline in the price of staples, especially rice, guinea corn, maize, and millet. For the second quarter of 2025, showed the sustained resilience of the Nigerian economy with a real growth rate of 4.23% year-on-year compared to 3.13% in the first quarter of 2025. The committee particularly noted the significant improvement in the performance of the oil sector, which grew by 20.46% compared to 1.87% in the preceding quarter, a positive development that is expected to further bolster foreign exchange reserves and sustain stability in the foreign exchange market. In this regard, the committee commended the efforts of the federal government and called for continued vigilance to strengthen the momentum of security across the country in order to increase oil output and food production. Gross external reserves remained robust at $43.05 billion as at September 11, 2025, compared with $40.51 billion at the end of July 2025, with an import cover of 8.28 months. Similarly, the second quarter 2025 current account balance recorded a significant surplus of $5.28 billion compared with $2.85 billion in first quarter of 2025. Global developments. Available projections indicate that global output recovery is expected to improve on the back of favorable trade negotiations and monetary policy easing, particularly in the advanced economies. However, persistent geographical tensions and lingering trade uncertainties could disrupt global supply chain and dampen the outlook. Global inflation is projected to pace due to the impact of trade tariffs and other structural challenges. This trajectory has necessitated a cautious and data-dependent approach to monetary policy easing by central banks, especially in emerging markets and developing economies. Outlook. Staff projections suggest a sustained disinflation over the coming months, driven by the lagged effects of previous rate hikes, continued stability in the foreign exchange market, and decline in the price of PMS. Furthermore, the onset of the harvest season is expected to increase local food supply, moderate food prices, and contribute to the overall decline in inflation. In its commitment to achieving the core mandate of price stability, the committee will remain proactive through a data-driven policy response. The next meeting of the committee is scheduled for Monday 24th and Tuesday 25th November 2025. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. President. That was communique number 139, presented by the chairman of the MPC and the governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Mr. Olayemi Adekunle. We now take some questions. Please state your name, your medium, and you answer the question. As usual, you are entitled to questions. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and President Nigeria. Mr. Governor, sir, very recently the Central Bank of Nigeria unveiled a new framework for its payment system vision 2028. Please, sir, can you speak more to it? What does this mean for the financial system in Nigeria and ultimately for Nigerians? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Linus. Let me first say that the Nigeria Payment System Vision 2028 is the attempt to fashion out a payments framework within a constantly evolving ecosystem that we generally see with technology and with payments is that things are constantly evolving and changing all the time. And we need to ensure that we are in step with those changes. Why is that important to us? Because ultimately, we appreciate to lift people out of poverty. And so, with that responsibility of ensuring that our payment system is fit for purpose and is one that meets the aspirations of the financial system and businessmen, a new strategic framework for the next 3 years is being designed. Ultimately, we believe that the impact of this particular framework will be that it will enhance access for financial inclusion, particularly people in the rural areas who perhaps may not have had access in the past. And we know that this has to be a continuing focus of the central bank. Also, we believe that it will enhance security so that the problems you may have had in the past with payments will be significantly reduced. And of course, it will enhance efficiency so that the downtimes and things like that will be significantly reduced. Net, we believe that the bold, futuristic outlook is one that is going to be very positive for the Nigerian economy. And let me also conclude by saying something that I believe is very important. In fashioning out the future on the payments and on the vision, we feel that it is very important that the leadership of the central bank be very, very, very much on tone and able to set the path and talk and walk the talk. And that is why more recently, a couple of months ago, we had a retreat, and the theme of the retreat was basically on digitization and AI. And this is all towards the path of ensuring that we are able to lead from the top and ensure that matters such as this are given the utmost attention for the betterment of all Nigerians. Thank you.
My question is, the issue of regulatory forbearance for certain Nigerian banks seems to be a current topic in the media. The CBN began to face withdrawal of this measure in 2025. What is the CBN's position in this matter and the intentions of some of these institutions to distribute dividends to shareholders? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Sarah. And here again, let me start off by saying that the issue of forbearance is an issue that has been an ongoing conversation since we took the saddle of responsibility at the central bank. It has been an ongoing conversation. And in particular, last year, we had a number of different dialogues with the banks. And we believe that it is something that the banks themselves should have done earlier, but that notwithstanding, we are pleased at the responses that we have seen so far, and we are steadfast on the date that we have given with respect to the exit of forbearance. In particular, as many of you may know, there are three restrictions. One is the issue of offshore investments, the other is dividends, and of course payment of bonuses. We are pleased, as I said, that some banks have already commenced well in advance of exiting the forbearance, and we believe that going forward we will see the banks complying fully. Of course, those who comply are very welcome to go back to the regime that was in place before we came out with this particular circular, and those who are not, well, they stay until they are. Thank you.
Good afternoon, Mr. Governor. My name is Mark Itiwa from Leadership. Recently, you were part of the presidential delegation to Brazil, where you met with your Brazilian counterpart, the president of the Bank of Brazil. And we noticed that you had some meetings with him. Can you please give us an idea or take away from that meeting which we think will be important for us? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, I can understand your saying my counterpart, central bank governor, but beyond that, his name was Galipolo and my own name is Cardoso. Yes, it was a very interesting and engaging encounter. Very interesting, in the sense that, as you know, Mr. President went on a state visit to Brazil, and I was very fortunate to be included in that entourage, and I was very honored to meet with the President of Brazil. And I was quite impressed, frankly, with the enthusiasm that greeted the delegation that went from Nigeria to Brazil. As you all know, there are very strong historical ties between Brazil and Nigeria, very strong historical ties. And getting there and seeing the response that to the delegation was really quite impressive. Now, for me, I had the privilege of meeting with the governor of the Bank of Brazil, and I went with a number of people from the central bank, and we had extensive dialogue. Some of the things that we spoke about extended to the whole issue of how we can support the potential trade, the potential trade opportunities between Brazil and Nigeria. Because without a very strong and virile banking system that will support that enthusiasm, then we would have done a disservice to our country. And I was very pleased at the responses that I got. In actual fact, we're setting up a technical committee on both sides that is planning to look at these particular issues and see how we can enhance, deepen collaboration between Brazil and Nigeria. Beyond that, beyond the immediate of enhancing the trade opportunities, I'm sure many of you may know that Brazil over the years had also gone through rather challenging period in its financial development. At one point in time, the country itself was heavily dogged by inflation, price instability, etc., etc.